What's going on, everybody? We're going to talk about two things that should always go together. That is your gun, your range hammer, and medical gear. Not necessarily a big kit like this, but if you are carrying this, you should be carrying at least some of the things that are in here. And we're going to talk about a few things you can carry on body and a few things like this kit that you would carry off body in your range bag or in your vehicle. Because I really do think that if you are carrying the gun to protect yourself and the lives of others and the lives of your family, you better be just as serious about carrying some medical gear, because if this comes out, this is probably right behind it or coming out at the same times. God forbid you take any rounds. And unfortunately for most of us, medical training does not come cheap, and the medical gear is definitely not any cheaper if you buy good stuff and you cycle it out when it expired, because medical gear does expire from time to time. And I know not everybody has an unlimited budget and carries this stuff with them all the time. I have been guilty in the past of not carrying certain items with me. But the way I see it, there are very simple things that you should probably always carry with you, especially if you're carrying your sidearm with you. And the things that I always say that you should carry on your body are going to be your gun, your tourniquet, a knife, because it can be used as an effective form of trauma shears to an extent, and then some form of communication that's viable for the area you are in, whether it's a radio of some sort or your cell phone, because that is going to be your lifeline to get emergency services to where you are. And if it's a phone, pretty simple, call 911, you've got GPS coordinates, you've got location services, and that can all be figured out. And the faster you get medical care to you, the more likely anybody that's injured is going to survive. Now, when it comes to any form of medical treatment, one of the number one things, and it goes along with that acronym MARCH, which is massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, and then hypothermia. If you can remember that, that's kind of that combat casualty care acronym that will kind of keep you up to date in your head of what the priority of triage is when it comes to treating an injured person. Now, something like this is from Immediate Casualty Care, and they did send this to me for free, in all honesty with you guys, but I'm really glad they did, because this thing is absolutely pretty awesome. I have found a myriad of places I can carry this, swap this from vehicle to vehicle, from kit to kit, from gear to gear. And in here, even though it's pretty thin, you guys can check out how big this thing is as compared to my hand here. Take a look at that. In here I have an Israeli bandage, I have trauma shears back here, I've got quick clot, I've got a SWAT T in here, I've got an SOFT wide tourniquet, I've got a marker in there, a Sharpie, because anytime you're applying a tourniquet you want to mark time on it. I got a little afterbite in there because I get bit up everywhere I go, so I keep that so I don't get infections from scratching the heck out of them. And then you can pretty much jam anything else you want in here. I do have my gloves right here in the bottom, which I don't think is actually a pocket, but for me, that just seemed to work out to put my gloves in there. That way, when I'm reaching in here to pull stuff, my gloves don't get all over the place and I end up losing one. So pretty nice that you can get that in here, keep a nice thin profile. And this is kind of meant to be carried several different ways. And we will take a look at all of this stuff up close. I just want to go over the basic stuff for you. So it's kind of a nice, stretchy and malleable nylon here. The quality and the construction is very good, and then you have kind of some basic clips right here, which can be moved to the outside to make them tuckable loops, just like your in the waistband holsters. Now, I find this really great because it's kind of marketed as an in the waistband or something like that. Well, for me, that necessarily doesn't work because of everything else I have on my body. And I'm generally carrying a tourniquet in my pocket or something wrapped around through my belt line. But where this really shines is, think about these clips and where you can put them. Molly gear on your packs, molly gear that's in your truck. You can put it on the visor overhead. You can put it in the back of the seat where that pocket is. Anywhere you can stick a clip on, this thing really shines at staying there. You can very quickly grab this, take it with you, and acquire it. Now, like I said, the quality is pretty good. I've left this in my truck for most of the summer, and it didn't have any issues. The material's not wearing out or anything like that. So definitely a quality piece of kit here. Now, the cost of this, before we go any further, is $40 on their website, Immediate Casualty Care. And I will leave links for all of this stuff down below for you guys. You can check all this out. If you're lacking any medical gear, I highly suggest you get at least bare minimum a tourniquet and some clip clot, some combat gauze or something. So those are things that are really, really important, because the first stage of trauma care is that massive hemorrhage, that bleeding control is going to extend the probability that you are going to live should you or somebody else around you get severely injured. And this could be from a shooting, a critical incident somewhere, a natural disaster, out there having fun mountain biking, anything where somebody could get a serious injury. You need to have basic medical equipment on you to an extent. All of us are not going to be able to carry massive packs with us everywhere we go, but at least carry minimal gear. And I know people tend to forget that sometimes and tend to not carry as much stuff as we should. And I have been guilty of that as well. And I'm an instructor for basic medical kits at my department. So I completely understand, guys. Sometimes you don't have the clothing, but like minimum, you can carry the thinnest packet of combat gauze. You can carry a rat's tourniquet. Those things are very small, very easy to conceal. I know some people don't like them. They will work. And then always know how to make hasty tourniquets out of belts, out of fabric, anything that you can use around you that's got some thickness to it, you can generally fashion into a tourniquet and then tie on some form of windlass and tie it off. Another big thing you guys really need to know is the laws in your state and what your Good Samaritan style laws are. I know where I live in the state of Arizona, as long as you don't do something really stupid that would shock the conscience of a normal person, and you are just attempting to provide a level of care to that person, you're probably going to be okay. And I don't know the laws of every state out there, because laws do vary when it comes to civil litigation and criminal acts should you do something stupid. But basically, guys, use common sense. Just because you saw, Dr. G, the medical examiner on TV, doesn't mean you can perform a roadside tracheotomy. I want to go ahead and get into this thing up close and kind of show you guys everything that's in here, how streamlined it is, and just how effective this thing is at actually holding all this gear in there, because it's a pretty good design. Like I said, they did send this to me for free. And I'd never heard of them before, but I'm glad they did, because I really think this is a great option for a lot of people out there that can't afford, say like my Vanquist medical pack up there with all the gear in that. I want to say that pouch was like 75 bucks alone. And it's pretty versatile. You can stick that thing anywhere. It's MOLLE compatible, but it's about $30 more than something like this kit would be. And it's just maybe not what everybody would be looking for, not the style people would be looking for. This is just another option for you guys to look into if you're short on that medical gear, or maybe it's just time to cycle some old stuff out. So we're going to go ahead and get into this medical kit and check everything out that it will fit right now. All right, we're going to take a look at this pouch here from Immediate Casualty, and they do have a couple different versions of this out in the market, and this was actually the brainchild of a couple of EMT trainers from the active shooter course, so that is pretty cool. And like I said, if you are carrying this, if you're carrying the range hammer or something like this CZ, which is pretty dang sick, got a review on this I'll put down below for you. You can check it out. You should be carrying at least basic medical kit stuff. So we'll go ahead and go over this. We'll start from the bottom here. So on the bottom, you've got these nice little holes right here. I've pulled this out a little bit. Generally, I've got my gloves just jammed up in there like that, because it was the perfect little pocket to keep a couple sets of gloves in, and they're not going to be in the main pockets when I start tearing stuff out. So let's talk about these clips here. Anywhere you can get these clips on, you can have this medical kit. Pretty dang nice. MOLLE gear, seat backs, overhead visors, anywhere you can stick these. Inside the waistband, you can see not too thick, not too thin. Some of the thickness in here is caused by the trauma shears that I have in here currently, which are not going to be the ones that are going to be residing in this kit permanently. So let's kind of go through this. We got two main large pockets, one center pocket that is usually specifically set for a tourniquet. I keep my pen in there as well. We'll go ahead and take this stuff out, and we will lay it across the table here. So a couple things that you should probably always have with you. There's lots of different versions. Some quick clot gauze, okay, good stuff. Traumatic bleeding, okay, it will stop it. It does work. You can look these things up yourselves. A SWAT tee, although not the best option, guys. Something like this will at least get you started, and is pretty thin. It's about as thick as a finger, guys. So you can carry this with you. Not the best option, but can you be used for multiple things? Very easy to use. Pick it up, put it on. Pen, something like a Sharpie. Anytime you're applying a tourniquet, you should be marking time on there. That is something medical professionals will need to know later. Your choice of tourniquet will be up to you. All I can tell you is buy a quality one. Do not buy a knockoff. Do not get garbage. SOFT wide, that's my choice tourniquet. It's the one I've carried the longest. I do carry RATS tourniquets. I do have other types of tourniquets that are just as good a quality. That's just the one that I tend to carry. I do have my trauma shears in here. These are the Leatherman Raptor shears. Very, very much so set up for EMTs with how these are set up. Not the ones that are going to be in this kit. I'm just waiting for nurse set to show up. They're your traditional style ones. I carry Afterbite with me, guys, because I get bit to hell everywhere I go by every bug out there. And then we have an Israeli bandage, pressure dressing, emergency trauma control dressing. You can use those things for a lot. You can use them for dressings. You can use those. You can make slings out of Israeli bandages. They are definitely good. So overall, guys, this is a really nice little kit. You can see the stitching on there. You can see that the belt clips in here are actually in there with like retaining screws you would usually find on like a holster or something. So they've used good quality stuff here. The stitching is definitely good quality. The fabric is good quality. Like I said, I left this in my truck for most of the summer and it didn't die, which the summer in Arizona generally kills everything. But you can see, guys, just the amount of stuff that you can carry in here and still keep a very thin package. Whether you're having this in your car or you're going to have this on your person. And like I said, it will be quite a bit thinner if you don't have these thick style trauma shears like these foldable ones here that I have from Leatherman. But that's just what I have here at the time. So great stuff, guys. We'll go ahead and get back up in the chair and we'll finish this up. If you are lacking any of this stuff, take a look at it. I will leave links down below. Don't carry one without the other, guys. You've got to be armed and you've got to be ready for medical care. So we'll get back on the chair, finish this up. An effective piece of kit like you guys saw up close. Now, may not be everybody's cup of tea, but for my EMTs out there and other people that know how important it is, law enforcement, military guys, to have this basic medical stuff, if not completely on your person, at least those bare minimum things to handle hemorrhage control. And having the rest of this stuff nearby you, whether you're out on the range, you're out camping, fishing, hunting, anything like that, anything an accident can happen. It's better to have and not need than to need not have. Kind of that old saying goes. Just a good little piece of kit. Like I said, I'm glad Immediate Casualty Care got a hold of me and sent this out to me because I think a lot of people would be well served to have something like this because it's not that ultra tactical, expensive pack that not a lot of people are into. This is a very slick, streamlined package that you can fit in your waistband. You can move from vehicle to vehicle, all those options like I said prior. Now there are definitely some positive and negatives to things like this, and everybody's gonna have their own take on what works, what doesn't work, what they wanna carry, what they don't wanna carry. So a couple of the positives on this, definitely very firm. That nylon material is going to hold everything. I mean, you can shake this thing up and down and nothing is gonna come out of here. So definitely firm, but not to the point where you can't get stuff out of it. It is large enough to carry what you need without being overly bulky, large, or expensive. And that's a big positive because medical kit is extremely expensive. And it's not like a gun magazine. Once you use it, it's gone. You got to buy new stuff. Or if you expose it to oxygen or your package comes open, you generally want to replace those things. So you definitely want something that is convenient, firm, safe, and is not going to allow your gear to get ruined or exposed in any way. Another positive is the mounting opportunities here. It's pretty much endless. Anywhere you can stick those clips. If you do carry inside the waistband, say you've got a thinner tourniquet like the rats, combat gauze, some other things like that, an Israeli bandage, and you can fit that in your waistline. The opportunity you have to change those clips to the outside and make that a tuckable loop type thing is really good. And you may be working in a super covert environment, private security guys or something like that, where you have to run really low key. Now that's definitely an option for you guys out there, and I think that's pretty cool if those clips move inside and outside. Now there are a couple of possible negatives here. The elastic, it's great, but at the same time, I haven't had this for an exorbitantly long period of time, and elastic does die, especially in the Arizona sun where I live. Heat gets to it and elastic kind of loses its elasticity over time. And that can be a problem, but then again, none of this gear is really gonna last forever. Now, as far as how it holds everything in there, like I said, it's very sturdy, it's very form fit, and it wraps around everything. Now that can be a good or a bad thing, depending on how much you check your gear and manipulate your gear, anything like that. Because taking these packages in and out like this, especially like the combat guys, where it's got the little cut edges in there, it is a possibility over time that taking this stuff in and out or changing it back and forth, that you could actually rupture the packaging on there, expose that to air, and you're kind of rendering, well, not kind of, you are rendering that piece of medical equipment void. At that point, you'd want to replace it if the package were to be breached or open in any way. So that's a kind of a negative in there. It would be pretty hard pressed to happen, I think, as long as you're taking care of how you put it in and out. But if you're a person that regularly swaps, moves around gear, or moves this from one place to another, that is something you would want to look out for and watch out for when you're trading that gear out. But in all, guys, I really do think that you cannot go wrong with this. This is going to definitely stay in my vehicle as a hasty medical kit. The one that's in there, which is kind of just like this, it's old, this old package I have, there's this wrap up leather one that I've got all my stuff in there. I'm gonna get rid of that. It's one, it's just less to work with now that I have this. I can leave this on the seat, I can leave it on my visor, and if I need it, I can just grab it, pull it out, and I can just pull everything out real quick. There's no unzipping, there's no unfolding. It's right there. The tops of everything are exposed enough that I can see exactly what I am going for. And it's just a good little product, and I'm really glad they sent it to me because it's pretty cool, and I'm keeping it and I'm gonna use it for sure. So if you guys are interested in anything you saw here today, I will leave links down below for you so you can check all that stuff out. I'll put those Amazon links down there so you can get any of that medical kit that you are lacking. Because you really should, like I said, if you're carrying that range hammer, that gun, you should have basic medical stuff with you, whether it's tourniquet, combat gauze, any of those things, and then a full medical kit to however your training goes, whether you go all the way up to nasal pharyngeal tubes, you go all the way up to, you know, chest vents, anything like that, completely up to what your training experience level is, guys. So if you like what's going on here with the channel, hit that subscribe button for me. If you're interested in anything, like I said, those links are down below. Get out there, have some fun, guys. Get some medical training. It's often overlooked by everybody, myself included from time to time. Out there, have some fun on the range. I will see you guys on the next one.